What to do after a failed proposal. Now I, 28M, live awkwardly with my girlfriend, 27F. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years and 6 months ago. She asked me to propose to her within 6 months, which I did. During this time she hinted heavily that she wanted an engagement ring with particular stones that were difficult to come by at a regular jeweler, so I had to buy it from Glamira. It ended up costing more than $500, which was more than I wanted to spend, but I was so sure she was going to be my spouse that I could stretch my budget since she appreciates it so much when she gets something she loves, and this ring was perfect. The time comes and I propose. I do all sorts of lovely shit and creative stuff to make it a perfect proposal, and she accepts before starting to cry as she reveals she is unsure if she loves me because her job has been so stressful lately and her feelings had developed since telling me she wanted to be engaged. It hit me like a brick wall and I thought my life was pretty much over. We had a week's break before getting back together to try a second time. Things are working out somewhat fine, but we're not at the point we were in the past, that is pretty clear. Now I was going to return the ring as it wasn't engraved or anything, but now Glamira's fucking return policy fucks me in the ass telling me I can't return it because a piece of fucking paper is cut on the ring. Everything was returned including the box and all certificates, but the paper that was attached to the ring was removed temporarily in the proposal and I won't get to return it. I get very pissed off at the world by wanting to be alone and not talk since I've essentially lost $500 on a worthless ring that I can't use for anything. What sucks so much is that I bought it because the woman I loved told me it was the thing she wanted the most in the world. Now I'm afraid I'm going to resent her for making me waste so much. She simply said, "That sucks," and carried on with her day. I feel like it's very unfair for me to take the hit when she changed her mind without hinting or telling me. Do you guys think this relationship is just doomed to fail at this point, or is it worth trying to mend it? Am I being unreasonable for thinking I shouldn't be responsible for taking the $500 loss alone? And is Glamira the worst jewelry company in the world? Edit. I'll let the money go. I understand it's petty of me to let it bother me so much. It's just that it is the latest thing that has been going on. As for the relationship, it seems like it is all doom and gloom according to Reddit. I'll keep thinking on it and I'll see what I'll do. I'm at least going to be working on myself, that's for sure. Edit 2. Reddit is so harsh on cheap engagement rings. It almost makes me think half if you are working in the jewelry industry. It's only a ring, it shouldn't be the basis of the entire relationship. Edit 3. I don't know if it's an American thing, but spending $500 on a ring is considered fair over here. My friends who are engaged or married have spent in the range of $201,000 and it has not been a contentious problem for them. Edit 4. People are still commenting on the price of the ring. I'm not from America. Everyone I talked to was fine with the price of it. Hell, not everyone over here proposes with a ring. It's definitely just Americans who are this obsessed with engagement rings. As for the relationship, the reason why she rejected the proposal was that she felt some slight feelings for someone at work. She never acted on those feelings, but she said they were there. She moved in with her parents for a week to sort out her feelings, and found out she did love me and not the other guy. Is that good enough to warrant me taking her back? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure that out. I'll make my decision over this week. As for the ring, I'm past it. I don't give a fuck about it or the money anymore. Edit 5. I've actually read every single comment on this post, and I appreciate all of you who have been supportive and given great advice aside from the people who are obsessing over the price. Unfortunately, it feels like it's going the way the people of Reddit are proclaiming. I'm probably going to end it soon. Pawn the ring, $500 is nothing compared to the cost of marrying the wrong person. Job stress does not cause someone to lose feeling for a significant other. Find yourself a new place to live. Your focus is on the money and not as much on repairing the relationship, which is confusing. A rejected proposal would be a relationship killer for me. You can resell the ring, oh well. But your resentment and her lack of communication doesn't bode well. I think you're using the cost of the ring as the target for your anger and disappointment because you don't want to put that on your girlfriend. Your focus on the $500 is very strange considering your circumstances. You mentioned the money so many times and you don't even mention your own feelings. $500 is not that much money for an engagement ring. It is definitely not a lot of money to learn a valuable lesson. What lesson is it up to you? $500 or be unhappy the entire marriage? I can't understand at all what's the loss. Cold sweat smile. There's no pawn shops so you can recover any dollar invested. Obviously the time want, but you will heal and need to consider only was 2.5 years, not a lot of wasted years. Cold sweat smile. YTF do you want to marry someone who is unsure if she loves me because her job has been so stressful lately and her feelings had developed since telling me she wanted to be engaged? Seems like a terrible investment to me. My F29 best friend, F29, tried to sabotage my marriage and I don't know why. So I, 29, met my best friend Sarah, 29, and husband, 31, when I was 11. I just moved to a new country with my family and my now sister-in-law introduced me to Sarah, 29. Now that we're adults we share some friends but we each have different groups to do different things. So usually I'm working in the office from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and I have a 30-minute break that I usually take to have my second breakfast, and sometimes I go to my husband's office. It's 5 miles walking, or a cafe near my job. Sometimes I have to work out of my office or go to another city. Every now and then I mention to Sarah if I have to travel for work during the week in casual conversations. Last week I had to travel for work on Wednesday, but Tuesday night there was a red alert about the weather the next day, so my work thing was cancelled and I stayed home with my 2-year-old. My husband went out at 6 a.m. to make sure his business was closed and put up some flood protection, and by 7:30 a.m. he was back at home making breakfast. It didn't start raining until 1 p.m. At 3 p.m. Sarah sent a message asking if I was at home already because it was flooding where I was traveling, and I just texted back, "Home safe." We literally didn't go out until Friday. Saturday Sarah and I go to the same gym class. She told me we needed to talk in private, so we went to my car and she told me, basically, on Wednesday I saw your husband with a woman and they were making out and your kid was in the car. I was frozen for a bit, but then I remembered that I was working from home with my husband and my baby for 2 days. I realized she was lying, but I didn't understand anything. I asked 3 times if she was sure it was this week's Wednesday and she confirmed it 3 times. I asked her about the time and she said about 11 a.m. I asked if it was during the red alert and she said yes. I asked her if she was 100% sure and she launched a whole description of my husband making out with a gorgeous Barbie look-alike blonde girl in his car in front of our kid near his office during the red alert. So he was putting my son at risk and cheating in front of him. I told her my work thing was suspended because of the red alert and we were both home the whole time it was activated. She tried to say she got confused with the days, but she confirmed it 3 times. I told her to leave and she left running. I went home and did the whole betrayed spouse house search. There was no hidden phone. I have all the passwords to every device in this house, not lack of trust, it's because I manage part of his business and he's bad with passwords. Even looked after hidden emails, and the only thing he was hiding was his paranormal podcast he listens to sometimes. That night I told my husband what was going on and he denied ever cheating and, even worse, disrespecting his own son in that way. I believe him 100%, there wasn't a change in his behavior or routine. He gave up his phone right away and I told him I already checked everything in our house and he told me to check his car then. We decided to call Sarah together. She picked up the 3rd call and she was crying. I told her to just tell me why she lied. She swore wasn't lying but told me she got confused with Monday. I told her Monday our son was in daycare and we had breakfast during my break. So at what time did my husband went to take our son out of daycare, go to pick up this girl to make out in front of my baby, and then back to the daycare for me to pick him up and then have breakfast with me? She cried more and told me she didn't know, so my husband told her to cut the shit if she had at least a bit of decency and tell us why she was lying. She said she was sorry and hung up and then had the audacity to block us. I told the friends we had in common with her and everyone is mad and can't explain what happened to her. She is not picking up the phone but sent a message back saying she was sick. Some of them asked her why she was lying and she blocked them. Someone even called her mom and she is just as shocked. Nobody understands what's going on. I thought maybe it was a crush, but my husband never liked her that much so he didn't pay attention to her. She isn't even added to his socials because she never liked her when Sarah was his sister's friend or when she became my friend too. They don't interact unless it is necessary to say she got a crush so big she thought it was worth it to try to break a family. I do know that sometimes she gossips a little too much or sometimes she talks about things she shouldn't, but I never thought it would develop into something this big. I had this girl at my side for really hard moments. I had her back when she needed me. She was one of the FISRT persons I told about my wedding and pregnancy. I loved this girl since we were little. I just don't understand, and she is not talking to anyone. 1. She wants you to be single so you're free to hang out with her. 2. She wants your husband to be free. Why though? 3. She wanted to stir up drama. 4. She was mistaken. Regardless of her reason, she's not a good friend and you're right to distance yourself from her. She's jealous of your husband. Not you. She wants to have you to herself. Is Sarah having a mental breakdown? It would be very strange if she was previously a good friend and then suddenly starts sabotaging your relationship. Not you, but someone else should take her for a mental health check. Perhaps the feeling regarding your husband is mutual and she was trying to drive him away. Is she single? Did she go through a breakup or something along those lines recently? Sometimes when that happens to people, they try to make their friends single so they don't feel bad, jealous. It's awful, but it happens. You need to cut this person from your life. Second breakfast. Hobbit confirmed. First, hug your husband and appreciate him. Not many men would tolerate the crazy you showed by searching the house, his phone, emails, etc., when you knew damn well he was home with you during that time frame and that she was lying. You owe him an apology. You know you do. As for Sarah, God only knows. It could be any number of things. Jealousy, a crush on either one of you, a misery loves company, and the list goes on. She is going to be too embarrassed to actually talk to you, at least for now. Distance yourself and let her be. There is something going on, and I don't know that you want to get caught up in it again. She has already tried to break up your marriage once and had you searching your house like a crazy woman. It's not a good idea to get tangled up with that twice. Wife, 31F, doesn't want to be a mum anymore. What do I, 30M, do? Edit. Some clarity of the most asked. Household duties are fairly even. I return from work and do baths, dinner, books, housework and bed. The Groundhog Day of parenting. She works 2 days per week, F&S. I work Monday to Friday. Younger two are in daycare Wednesday to Friday and eldest 5 days per week. I understand the severity of the situation and wasn't expecting so many comments. My thoughts have changed considerably from the moment I posted this to now and thank everyone thus far for their feedback and comments. My kids are my top priority and their safety and well-being are of my top concern. I will be temporarily separating from my wife while we work through this and get her the support she requires. Thank you. We have 3 children 8, 5 and 2. My wife has become increasingly quick-tempered as the older the children are getting older and has resorted to yelling at them to get their attention, out of frustration. The frustration has led to numerous comments to the effect of regretting having children. The yelling has resulted in the kids not listening to anything but yelling as this has become the new normal. Today I received a phone call from my neighbor, first time, complaining that my wife has been shouting and yelling at the kids constantly. They also raised that the kids are outside at 5:30 a.m. I am out of the house from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. due to work and cannot vouch for either of these. How best would you raise this with my wife? Noting that she will see this as a personal attack and I expect will be quick-tempered. As a child of a mother who did this, you don't get over it. It impacts your life every day. Me and my siblings all have issues from it. Protect your kids. I wish I had someone to protect us. And you never, ever, forget hearing your mother say she regrets having you. It plays on repeat in my head 20 years later. You are going to have to step up and have a conflict with your wife about the kids, or you risk losing them. There is no reason for an 8-year-old, 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be outside at 5:30 a.m. You're lucky your neighbor called you, because I would have called the cops and told them that we needed a social worker here to pick your children up. Your wife is abusing your children. I would talk to a family lawyer and a counselor to find out how to proceed, because this will get ugly. The well-being of your kids has to come first. Ask her how serious she is about her thoughts on having children. Is she looking to get out of the family? Is she a stay-at-home mom and wants a change? You need to get to the root of her feelings. Talk to your kids and ask them how they're doing. Don't prompt, just say, "How was your day? Anything special happened today?" Get a feel for whether they are nervous talking about it. Or they might just open up. Maybe take them out for fries at McD's or something like that so they are away from the house. I think she needs a mental health evaluation immediately. This sounds serious. You can suggest counseling, but if she doesn't want help, nothing will help. I was in a similar situation. Wish I'd divorced sooner. To protect the kids, it's usually the only way on. Document some more. Get your neighbor on record. Even if you don't plan on divorcing right now, it may help later. You leave her and protect your children. This is abuse. If it was a man being abusive to his children, we'd all say leave. Her being a stay-at-home mother doesn't give her an excuse to mistreat the kids. She might have mental health problems, but unless she's willing to do the work, your priority is your children. My wife, 33F, wants me, 40M, to liquidate everything to move? My wife of 4 years wants us to move to Florida. She is unhappy living in our current state. In order to do this, she wants me to quit my job making $80,000, sell my car, collectibles, and cash in my 401k valued at $100,000. She wants us to work together as online influencers, which she is already doing for work. She swears that together we can make my salary by doing this, but she only makes about $1,200 per month currently. On top of all this, I have cancer and my father has Alzheimer's. I currently am being treated by one of the best hospitals in the US. We currently live close to my family and barely get by financially. She says that if I love and support her, I will do this. And that I can go home to see family and doctors when needed. I told her that it would be a mistake as I would no longer have a retirement fund and it takes 30 years to pay off a mortgage, so I will be 70 before we pay off a house, if I'm still alive. I'm also very uncomfortable with the idea of getting rid of all the stuff that makes me who I am. I'm really get frustrated with how to deal with this without screaming at her. It feels like she is trying to isolate me. How do I proceed? You say no. She's not making any sense. You tell her. I have concrete reasons for the way my life is. You have fantasy. If you want to do social media, you can start here. If you want to leave, then we can break up, but leaving is a terrible idea for me. No screaming needed. Get her checked. This sounds like a maniac episode. No, I'm not walking away from my family and my cancer treatment to chase being an influencer. You're not currently making enough to support us, and if I made the same amount online as you, then I still wouldn't be able to afford the retirement that I wouldn't live to see, because I also wouldn't be able to afford cancer treatment. I don't normally suggest crazy and wild theories, but I think you need to get your affairs in order, now that she's demanding that you to liquidate your worldly possessions, cash out, drop everything that's important to you, and isolate yourselves away from family and instead live in a place where every day sounds like a vacation. My ex-wife wanted to do the same, except it was live in an Airstream camper and be adventurers, influencers. I was expected to make the money part work because you can work remotely. If I was smart, I would have divorced her, but I'm not smart. I tried to make the marriage work, and the end result is an additional 5 years of spousal support payments. Tell her when her current career path starts creating the type of income she is hoping you will strongly consider moving. Other than that, a firm no is a good answer a lot of the time. Don't try to convince her, just stand up for yourself.